Hi everyone, and welcome back to Flipping Heck Business, Flip Learning for AQA A-Level Business Studies. This is Unit 2, video number 4. So this is decision making. Now what you actually need to know on this is hunch versus scientific decision making, key influences on decision making, and then opportunity costs and how it actually affects decision making as well. Now, if you're looking for links to other parts of the curriculum, then decision making itself actually links to risk and reward. It links to business objectives. So if you look in Unit 1, risk and reward is in Unit 1 as well. Then we've got organizational structure. So that's Unit 1 and also Unit 6, HR. Leadership styles, which we've covered in other videos, Unit 2. Corporate culture, again, HR. And then technology in operations, which is actually the fourth unit that you will look at. So basically, when we're looking at decision making for business, then there are kind of two broad approaches that we need to concentrate on. So this is for any kind of decision that would be like, a particularly large investment or a large sort of pursuit for a company. So first of all, we look at scientific. Now, scientific is basically pulling together all the details, all the information, pulling together actual data based on what's happened in the past, what could potentially happen, what's happening with competitors, right? And then using that data to actually help you make this decision. Now, there are a few advantages for this in that it's based purely on business and logic. So straight away, it's okay, we're not just making a guess here. We're actually going, right, okay, so what has worked in the past? You've got a comparison. So you've got like positives versus negatives. And then you can look at those and decide from that data. There's clear direction. So, everybody knows exactly which direction they're meant to be going in, what path they are following. There's usually more than one person involved, so there's not going to be any kind of like bias in there as well. As we said, less bias, and it means that you'll be able to get a couple more ideas going, and then you're not going to have someone who's like fixated on one particular idea just making all the decisions. It's much easier to monitor. And also there's an allowance of flexibility there as well. So, if you've got your heart set on one direction, on making a particular choice, well, this way you can actually go, right, well, actually, we've looked at the data. We've said that actually this other way would be much better. Right, some disadvantages, though, is that the process itself is slow. Obviously, collecting all that data can take a while. And of course, and also there is a greater understanding of external factors. You really need to know what your competition are doing, what the market's doing, what the economy is doing. Right? If there are going to be any massive changes, such as Brexit that's coming up, well, how is that actually going to affect how companies are running? It's much more expensive. You've got to collect that data. So if you're a smaller company, this may not actually be that suited for you, because it might cost a lot of money to be able to get that market research in or any other data that you need. And then finally, it's reliability. Rubbish in, rubbish out. If you collect the wrong data and you input it into your sort of decision-making process, then you are going to make poor mistakes from that data. Now, when you're using scientific, have a think about, what companies actually want to do. Again, if we go back to the adage of Brexit, then there are companies now which are trying to decide, well, are they going to stay in the UK or are they going to go abroad? Are they going to move headquarters around? Are they going to still produce what they produce in the UK, or can it be done better and cheaper elsewhere? So they'll try and gather this scientific data and see what other companies are doing and then make those choices. On the flip side, though, we've got hunch or intuition, right? So hunch is basically where you might use your expertise. You've already got experience in a certain area, and you're going to make that choice about what would be best. So, using an adage from my own life, then, if I was running a nightclub, then I would look around and go, okay, so what has happened in the past? What do I really need, or what is missing from this town or city? And I'll go, right, okay, well, I think that it needs a rock night, or I think that it needs a hip hop night. And I'll use that hunch. Now, I might not have put one on in the past, and there might not be any going on around me. So I'll be able to go, right, well, I think that this is a niche market that we can fill. Now, advantages of this is that it's quicker. You're making the choice based on your own experience. You don't need to collect any data, which also makes it, of course, cheaper as well. So, you've not got to go out, you've not got to like buy valuable data from anywhere else. It's based on future predictions, not past data. So, all right, you're using your experience, but you're making a prediction. Right, okay, this is what this country needs. This is what this company needs to do. And it pulls on a leader's expertise. Now, remember that, a leader is someone who is at the forefront, and they can be innovative. They could be entrepreneurs. They've got ideas. They know what they want to do. Some of the disadvantages, though, we've got things like your experience. So your experience will be bias. I mean, again, back to the nightclub thing, then I used to run successful rock nights, successful dance nights, and hip-hop nights. Well, would they actually be suited for the particular area that I'm moving into? Very little consideration for alternatives. So I'm not really trying to find like 5 or 6 good ideas and then utilize the best one. I'm actually just like, right, okay, well, this is what I think we should do. We'll just get on with it. Which, of course, also makes it a little bit easier for prejudice to stick in. So, I love, certain types of music, so I would go for that type of night. I love this type of product, so I would produce this type of product. It's a lot more solo work. So, there's a lot of pressure put onto the leader, onto the manager, where, previously it was all spread amongst, like, say, a board of directors or a few managers. And then finally, there might be inappropriate application. They might get it wrong. You might actually just flat out be making the wrong choices, the wrong decision, based purely on what you believe is right. And then, of course, that could be very costly for the company. Okay, the main influences that you actually get on business when they are trying to make businesses decisions is you've got things like objectives, so like budgets. So have we got enough money? Is it part of the actual business objective? If we're looking for growth and expansion, then are these decisions that we're making at a lower level going to help towards that objective, right? If there's the poor attitude to risk, so say, companies are very stuck in their ways. They might have like older members who aren't really willing to put their neck out. Then, are we actually going to be able to produce anything if it's a radical idea? Or are people just going to be using the worst phrase that you could use, which is, this is just the way we've always done it? Like, you don't want to end up fighting that. Then there's the external environment. So like, how fast is it changing? Again, coming back to competition, coming back to the economy. Like if it's a fast growth economy, then it means that there might actually be quite a lot of sales out there. Well, you need to make these decisions pretty quick, right? And in which case, if you're going to do it and there's a lot of sales coming in and you know that you can go for it, then you can really go for the risky ideas. And then you've got organizational structure. So who's actually making the decision? Is it a board of directors? Is it managers? Is it a sole trader? Right? If it's a sole trader, they can make those decisions quick, but it's usually based on hunch. If it's a big company, then the CEOs might step in and go, right, okay, well, we don't like the direction that this is going. Are we actually trying to make the shareholders happy? And if so, then they would be very much profit based, where other if it's a PLC, but if it's an LTD, then people might be more involved in the company and they might actually just want it to grow and succeed. And then finally, is there available and reliable data? So where are you actually getting this data from? Is it government-based, in which case very reliable because it tends to be non-biased? Or are you getting it from your own research, which again, can have a little bit of a bias sway? Are you asking the right questions? Are you actually picking up the correct data? Now, this is an important phrase, so make sure you get this down. So, opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is the cost of missing out on the next best alternatives, right? So, think about it in your own life, right? I could go to the cinema tonight. Great. Well, I'll go watch a really good film. I'll enjoy it. Or the alternative is that I could stay in, watch Netflix. And in which case I'll just watch, maybe one of the films that I've seen before. It's an older film. It won't be quite on the sort of spec of a cinema experience. But what am I missing out on? Well, I'm missing out on the social life if I stay in, but I'm not spending the money if I go out. So it's the benefits that could have been gained by taking a different decision, right? So especially with scientific, you'll always look at different opportunities, different opportunity costs. So you can just decide, okay, so which one is the best one to take? Now we'll be looking at those a lot in decision trees, which will be the next video. So why are opportunity costs important? So it's important because not every company will necessarily have the funding to maybe complete one task or another. If you're like deciding that you're going to start a new product, then it may cost 25 million to actually do research, development, produce it. Whereas, and it might bring you back the biggest return. But if you're a company that has maybe only 10 million to spend, then you might find that actually advertising the current items that you actually have may bring in a solid reward as well. I mean, like, you've got to sort of make that decision. Not every company is going to be able to just automatically spend that funding. Now, it might not just be funding, but it might actually be resources. So think about like the organizational structure. Have you already got everything in place? Or are you going to have to go out there and actually like hire new people, bringing new managers? Like, have you got the skill set that is required to actually make and implement those decisions? If you don't, then you're going to have to look at the next best alternative. So then we've got managers and leaders, entrepreneurs. They will take a long look at these different opportunity costs and they will decide, okay, so which one is actually the best direction for us, for our company. Now, entrepreneurs might be the more risky and they will go after that risk. Leaders tend to look at it, but like still again, show a little bit of risks. But like if you're just a manager, they tend to actually just be plodding along and, well, this is the way we've always done things. So they may actually go, right, well, do we need to make any of these massive changes? And again, like any big changes must be decided on looking at what might be missed or lost, right? It may be that you're looking at longer term. So short-term goals might actually like cost you quite a bit, but in the long term, is it going to affect your reputation? Is it going to make your company more popular? So you have to decide those, and that's what decision making is all about. Okay, everyone, thanks very much for watching. For more information, make sure you hit thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. Turn on your notifications if you're one of my students. I hope that that's actually happened already. Make sure that you can leave any kind of like constructive criticism below. If you want to like ask anything, if you want to leave a message, feel free. And then video 5 will be following shortly where we're going to look at decision trees. All right, thanks very much, folks. Bye.